The Pink Poodle Oracle Guidebook by ULC Reverend A.M. GuideBook, Web. Table of Contents Dedication Introduction. Welcome to the Pink Poodle Realm. The Pink Poodle Trinity. How to use this deck. Begin with care. Ask gently. One card is enough. Upright and reversed cards. Consent and choice. Play, return, and rest when readings feel heavy. The Pink Poodle Realm in practice. The Pink Poodle Procession. Signature spread. The Pink Poodle Trinity spread. Additional sample spreads. The cards. The Pink Poodle itself. The Incarnated Presence. Cards of the Pink Poodle Realm. The Eternal Good Girl. The Pink Poodle Creator Deity. Doctrinal use only. Lore notes on dependence and dignity. On sparkle as inheritance. On cute as law. On objects that remember. On play as restoration. On consent as theology. On mirrors as thresholds. Closing reflection on the Eternal Good Girl. Closing benediction about the Creator. Care and storage of the deck. Dedication. This work is dedicated to the families who have faced impossible choices when love alone could not prevent harm. To those who have lost beloved animals through behavioral euthanasia, especially in moments of sudden crisis, fear, or psychiatric break, your grief is real and your compassion is not diminished by necessity. These decisions are made in devotion, not failure. May this oracle honor the weight you carried, the care you showed, and the love that remained even when safety required goodbye. You are not alone, and your tenderness mattered. Introduction. The Pink Poodle Realm and the Trinity. The Pink Poodle Oracle arises from a world that understands divinity as relational, embodied, and alive. In this tradition, sacred presence is not distant or abstract. It is something that can be tended, chosen, and lived with care. This understanding is expressed through what may be called the Pink Poodle Trinity. The first expression is the Pink Poodle Creator Deity. This presence exists beyond form and beyond the deck itself. It represents original design, final authority, and the nature of goodness as something freely chosen rather than enforced. The Creator is not consulted for daily guidance, but for clarity of truth, consecration, and alignment. It speaks to what is, rather than what will happen. The second expression is the Pink Poodle itself. This is the incarnated presence of divine care. Where the Creator is beyond, the Pink Poodle walks within. It is care made visible, gentleness made bodily, and devotion practiced through attention rather than obedience. The Pink Poodle itself shows how divine truth moves through the world when it takes form, posture, and presence. This card opens the deck because embodiment is the beginning of all becoming. The third expression is the Pink Poodle Realm. The realm is not a separate being, but the living field in which all transformation occurs. It is the atmosphere of softness, consent, sparkle, and attentiveness that surrounds every card and every reading. The realm is the spirit that moves between things, allowing care to accumulate, joy to carry memory, and thresholds to be crossed. It is not drawn as a card because it is the space in which cards speak. These three expressions are not separate powers, but different ways of understanding the same gentle authority. The Creator establishes truth, the Pink Poodle embodies that truth, and the realm allows that truth to be lived. Together, they form the cosmology of this oracle. This trinity is introduced here so that the deck may be approached relationally rather than hierarchically. No part overrides the others. All work together to support becoming, consent, and care. When you work with the Pink Poodle Oracle, you are not asking for commands or predictions. You are entering a realm shaped by chosen goodness, embodied devotion, and attentive presence. The cards do not speak alone. They speak within the realm, through care, and in relationship with you. How to use this deck. The Pink Poodle Oracle is meant to be used slowly, with care. It is not a test of intuition or a system that rewards expertise. It is a companion for reflection, consent, and becoming. You do not need special skills to work with this deck. Attention is enough. This oracle does not command, predict, or override your agency. It offers invitations. You are always free to accept, decline, pause, or return later. Relationship matters more than accuracy. Begin with care before drawing a card. Take a moment to settle. You may shuffle in silence, hum, smooth the edges of the deck, or hold it briefly. These small gestures are considered acts of grooming in the Pink Poodle tradition. They signal readiness rather than reverence. Nothing is forced. Nothing is rushed. Ask gently questions that begin with what or how tend to open the deck more easily than questions that demand certainty. This oracle responds best to curiosity rather than urgency. You are not asking for answers to control outcomes, but for guidance that supports care, consent, and alignment. One card is enough. A single card can hold a complete reading. You may draw more cards if you wish, but there is no requirement to do so. If a card feels confusing or heavy, you may return it to the deck and draw again. Declining a message is allowed. The deck will wait. Upright and reversed cards. You may read all cards upright if that feels supportive. If you choose to use reversals, treat them as shifts in energy rather than negations. A reversed card is not a failure or warning, but an invitation to adjust care, attention, or consent. Consent and choice. The Pink Poodle Oracle does not override your agency. Guidance is offered, not imposed. If a message does not feel true, you are not required to accept it. Alignment is only meaningful when it is chosen. A joyful yes carries more authority than obedience born of fear. Play, return, and rest. You may revisit the same card many times. You may also put the deck away for long periods and return when needed. The relationship does not diminish with distance. Playfulness, repetition, and rest are all valid ways of working with the cards. When readings feel heavy, if a reading becomes overwhelming, pause. Return to a one-card pull, or simply hold the deck without drawing. Care comes before clarity. The Pink Poodle realm values gentleness over endurance. There is no correct way to use this oracle. There is only the way that feels attentive, honest, and kind. Let the cards meet you where you are. The Pink Poodle realm in practice. Spreads and ritual use. The Pink Poodle oracle is designed to be used relationally rather than mechanically. Spreads are not formulas for prediction but ways of entering the realm with attention. You may use these spreads as written, adapt them gently, or return to a single card pull whenever that feels sufficient. Care always comes before complexity. The Pink Poodle Procession Signature Spread. Use this spread when you are in a season of becoming, transition, or gentle initiation. This is the signature spread of the Pink Poodle Oracle and reflects the devotional movement of the deck itself. Number of cards, 6. Layout, a soft arc or half circle, arranged from left to right. Position 1, the poodle at the gate. What is calling for my attention right now? Position 2, the act of care. What needs to be tended gently before anything else? Position 3, the adornment. What I am allowed to enjoy, express, or embody. Position 4, the boundary ribbon. What protects my dignity and keeps devotion intact. Position 5, the consent. What wants my honest yes or no. Position 6, the becoming who I am stepping forward as. This spread is not read as a problem to be solved. If a card feels heavy, it is asking for slowness rather than correction. If the eternal good girl appears, read the spread as affirmation rather than instruction. The Pink Poodle Trinity Spread. Use this spread when you seek clarity about truth, embodiment, and atmosphere. This spread teaches the cosmology of the Pink Poodle realm through use rather than explanation. Number of cards, 3. Layout, a simple line or triangle. Position 1, the source. What is fundamentally true in this situation? Position 2, the incarnation. How that truth is meant to be lived or embodied. Position 3, the realm. The condition, atmosphere, or field shaping this situation. The Pink Poodle creator deity may be intentionally placed in position 1 for consecration or doctrinal clarity. The realm position is read as environment, not instruction. The Daily Primp 1 Card Practice. Use this practice for daily or frequent devotion. Position, what wants my care today? Treat the card as a grooming instruction for the spirit. There is no urgency. One card is complete. The Mirror Threshold 3 Card Spread. Use this spread when you are between states or preparing for change. Position 1, what I am finishing. Position 2, what I am tending at the threshold. Position 3, what I am becoming. The center card represents preparation, not delay. The Consent Check 3 Card Spread. Use this spread when you are unsure whether a yes is true. Position 1, what is being asked of me. Position 2, how my body responds. Position 3, whether this yes sparkles. If the third card feels muted or heavy, the answer may be no, even if the situation appears positive. The soft thrown 4-card spread. Use this spread when stepping into authority or responsibility. Position 1, the role I am being offered. Position 2, how to rule with care. Position 3, what must be supported. Position 4, what supports me. Authority is read as relational, not hierarchical. The inheritance spread 5-card spread. Use this spread when exploring legacy, gifts, or lineage. Position 1, what was given to me. Position 2, what I was meant to enjoy. Position 3, what I was meant to protect. Position 4, what I must release. Position 5, what I carry forward. This spread pairs especially well with the inheritance of sparkle. The play restoration 3-card spread. Use this spread during burnout or emotional rigidity. Position 1, what has become too serious. Position 2, what wants to be playful again. Position 3, how play restores me. Play is treated here as medicine, not reward. The card's arc origin and voice. This opening arc establishes presence, voice, identity, and chosen structure. These cards describe how the pink poodle enters the world, announces itself, changes over time, and consents to form. This arc is not about destiny or instruction. It is about beginning. Card 0, the pink poodle itself upright, meaning the pink poodle itself represents divine care made bodily. This card is the incarnated presence of the pink poodle creator deity, showing what sacred gentleness looks like when it takes form, posture, and attention. It blesses embodiment, presence, and devotion lived through care rather than command. This card reminds you that tending, noticing, and choosing softness are not secondary acts, but holy ones. The pink poodle itself appears before all narrative because presence comes before instruction. Reversed meaning reversed, the pink poodle itself points to disconnection from the body, neglect of care, or hardening as a defense. You may be postponing gentleness or treating care as conditional. This card invites you back into embodiment, reminding you that divine care is practiced through presence, not delay. Card 1, the first bark upright, meaning the first bark represents expression, initiation, and the moment of making oneself known. This card blesses speaking, signaling readiness, and claiming space through sound or action. It reminds you that beginnings do not require polish or certainty, only willingness. To bark is to announce presence and to participate in the world rather than observe it from a distance. Reversed meaning reversed, the first bark points to silencing, hesitation, or fear of being heard. You may be waiting for permission that will not arrive or withholding your signal to remain safe. This card invites courage, reminding you that even a trembling voice is a valid beginning. Card 2, the becoming one upright, meaning the becoming one represents transformation in motion and identity unfolding over time. This card blesses change without urgency and growth without finality. It reminds you that becoming is a sacred state and that you are not required to arrive anywhere in order to be worthy of care. Movement itself is devotion. Reversed meaning reversed, the becoming one points to resistance to change, clinging to fixed identity, or fear of uncertainty. You may be attempting to preserve what is already shifting. This card invites trust in process rather than control over outcome. Card 3, the gilded leash upright, meaning the gilded leash represents chosen structure, beautiful restraint, and commitments entered with consent. This card blesses boundaries that feel supportive rather than punishing. It reminds you that devotion can be adorned and that responsibility does not have to be harsh to be real. Reversed meaning reversed, the gilded leash points to obligation without consent, control disguised as care, or commitments that no longer feel chosen. You may feel constrained by expectations that once felt meaningful. This card invites re-evaluation and the reclamation of choice. Arc 2, soft authority and devotion. This arc explores how power is held gently, how devotion is practiced without humiliation, and how beauty, excess, and care become ethical acts. These cards redefine authority as something worn, tended, and chosen rather than imposed. Card 4 Saint of Soft Power Upright meaning the Saint of Soft Power represents influence that does not dominate. This card blesses leadership rooted in care, steadiness, and emotional intelligence. It reminds you that softness can direct outcomes without force and that authority can be exercised through consistency, kindness, and presence. This is power that does not need to raise its voice. Reversed meaning reversed, the Saint of Soft Power points to self-doubt about your influence or a belief that gentleness will not be respected. You may be tempted to harden yourself to be taken seriously. This card invites trust in the quiet strength of your approach. Card 5 Saint of Excess and Elegance Upright meaning the Saint of Excess and Elegance blesses abundance chosen without apology. This card affirms pleasure, adornment, and generosity as sacred when they arise from joy rather than compulsion. It reminds you that beauty can be expansive and that taking up space with grace is not wasteful. Reversed meaning reversed, this card points to guilt around enjoyment or fear of being seen as too much. You may be denying yourself what brings delight. This card invites you to examine whether restraint is serving you or simply shrinking you. Card 6 The Sacred Grooming Upright meaning the sacred grooming represents preparation, routine care, and the rituals that make dignity possible. This card blesses maintenance, repetition, and attentiveness to detail. It reminds you that tending what already exists is just as holy as creating something new. Reversed meaning reversed, the sacred grooming points to neglect, burnout, or impatience with upkeep. You may be waiting for transformation while ignoring maintenance. This card invites recommitment to small acts of care. Card 7 The Velvet Collar Upright meaning the velvet collar represents chosen belonging and visible devotion. This card blesses commitments that feel comforting, affirming, and intentionally worn. It reminds you that identity can be both personal and shared, and that belonging does not require submission. Reversed meaning reversed, the velvet collar points to discomfort with commitment or fear of being defined by association. You may be resisting belonging to protect autonomy. This card invites reflection on whether distance is protecting you or isolating you. Arc 3 Reflection and Multiplicity This arc explores identity as something layered, relational, and responsive. These cards address self-perception, naming, and the way pain and beauty can coexist. Reflection here is not vanity, but contact. Multiplicity is not confusion, but truth. Card 8 The Mirror with Teeth Upright meaning the mirror with teeth represents self-recognition that is honest rather than comforting. This card blesses clarity that may feel sharp but ultimately protects dignity. It reminds you that seeing yourself clearly can sting, yet it prevents deeper harm. Truth here is not cruel, but precise, and it asks for courage rather than collapse. Reversed meaning reversed, the mirror with teeth points to avoidance, distortion, or self-image shaped by fear. You may be turning away from reflection to avoid discomfort. This card invites you to face what is present gently, knowing that clarity serves care. Card 9 The House of Many Names Upright meaning the House of Many Names represents multiplicity, chosen identity, and the freedom to hold more than one truth about yourself. This card blesses complexity and honors the ways you have been known, named, and renamed. It reminds you that identity can expand without contradiction and that no single name must contain you. Reversed meaning reversed, the House of Many Names points to confusion, fragmentation, or pressure to collapse yourself into one acceptable form. You may feel torn between versions of yourself. This card invites integration rather than erasure. Card 10 The Perfumed Wound Upright meaning the perfumed wound represents pain that has been tended rather than hidden. This card blesses healing that includes beauty, memory, and care. It reminds you that wounds do not have to be raw to be acknowledged and that tending pain can transform it without denying its reality. Reversed meaning reversed, the perfumed wound points to unaddressed hurt or attempts to mask pain without tending it. You may be avoiding grief or rushing healing. This card invites patience and honest care. Arc 4 Ritual Movement This arc explores action as devotion, movement as meaning, and ritual as a way of caring for change. These cards honor preparation, play, refusal, and generosity as sacred motions rather than outcomes. Card 11 The Holy Walk Upright meaning the Holy Walk represents progress made through steady, intentional movement rather than urgency or spectacle. This card blesses daily steps, consistency, and showing up even when transformation feels slow. It reminds you that devotion can be practiced through ordinary motion and that direction matters more than speed. Reversed meaning reversed, the holy walk points to stagnation, avoidance, or pressure to rush before you are ready. You may feel disconnected from your path or impatient with your pace. This card invites you to slow down and re-enter movement with care. Card 12, the altar of toys upright meaning the altar of toys represents play as sacred offering. This card blesses joy, curiosity, and the honoring of what delights you. It reminds you that devotion does not require seriousness and that play can be a form of truth-telling, restoration, and connection to the self. Reversed meaning reversed, the altar of toys points to joy being dismissed as frivolous or withheld as a reward. You may be denying yourself play in the name of productivity or duty. This card invites you to restore delight as a necessary practice. Card 13, the laughing martyr upright meaning the laughing martyr represents refusal to suffer for approval. This card blesses resilience that does not center pain and devotion that retains humor and lightness. It reminds you that sacrifice is not required for worthiness and that joy can coexist with endurance. Reversed meaning reversed, the laughing martyr points to self-betrayal through overgiving or the belief that suffering proves devotion. You may be carrying burdens that are no longer yours. This card invites release and self-loyalty. Card 14, the saint who refused shame upright meaning the saint who refused shame represents dignity reclaimed and boundaries enforced through self-respect. This card blesses refusal, self-definition, and the decision to no longer carry imposed guilt. It reminds you that holiness does not require humiliation. Reversed meaning reversed, this card points to internalized shame or fear of being seen as difficult for asserting boundaries. You may be minimizing yourself to avoid conflict. This card invites you to stand in your dignity without apology. Card 15, the divine spoiling upright meaning the divine spoiling represents care given generously and without earning. This card blesses being tended, indulged, and protected simply because you exist. It reminds you that goodness can be given freely and that receiving does not diminish worth. Reversed meaning reversed, the divine spoiling points to discomfort with receiving or the belief that care must be earned through effort or suffering. You may be refusing softness out of habit. This card invites you to accept care without justification. Arc V embodied identity and becoming. This arc addresses belonging, chosenness, and the way identity is claimed rather than earned. These cards explore initiation, devotion, and the warmth that comes from being recognized without condition. Card 16, the anointed fur upright meaning the anointed fur represents blessing that is visible, embodied, and unapologetic. This card affirms identity that has been consecrated through care rather than achievement. It reminds you that you do not need to prove worthiness to be recognized. What is marked as beloved already belongs. Reversed meaning reversed, the anointed fur points to doubt about your legitimacy or fear of being seen as favored without justification. You may be minimizing yourself to avoid attention. This card invites acceptance of blessing without explanation. Card 17, the covenant of cute upright meaning the covenant of cute represents an agreement rooted in tenderness and mutual delight. This card blesses bonds formed through affection, playfulness, and shared care. It reminds you that connection does not require severity to be sincere and that gentleness can hold commitment. Reversed meaning reversed, this card points to fear that softness will not be taken seriously or that joy weakens obligation. You may be guarding yourself against delight. This card invites trust in bonds that feel light but endure. Card 18, the pink flame upright meaning the pink flame represents devotion that warms rather than burns. This card blesses passion held with care and desire that sustains instead of consumes. It reminds you that intensity can coexist with gentleness and that true devotion does not destroy what it loves. Reversed meaning reversed, the pink flame points to exhaustion, overextension, or devotion that has become draining. You may be giving more heat than you can sustain. This card invites recalibration and gentler tending. Card 19, the spoiled chosen one upright meaning the spoiled chosen one represents being selected without earning and cherished without apology. This card blesses privilege rooted in care rather than dominance. It reminds you that being chosen does not obligate you to suffer and that delight can be a responsibility handled gently. Reversed meaning reversed, this card points to guilt about being favored or fear of resentment from others. You may be shrinking your joy to remain acceptable. This card invites you to hold blessing responsibly rather than hide it. Arc 6 Survival and World Response. This arc addresses how beauty, care, and dignity are practiced in difficult conditions. These cards speak to endurance without hardening, joy without denial, and the quiet creativity required to live well in unstable or collapsing worlds. Card 20 The Jeweled Discipline Upright meaning the jeweled discipline represents structure made beautiful and habits chosen with care. This card blesses consistency that supports dignity rather than punishes it. It reminds you that discipline can be adorned, pleasurable, and sustaining when it is rooted in self-respect rather than deprivation. Reversed meaning reversed, the jeweled discipline points to rigidity, burnout, or routines that have lost their meaning. You may be maintaining structure out of fear rather than care. This card invites you to soften discipline into something livable. Card 21 The Gospel of Indulgence Upright meaning the Gospel of Indulgence represents joy treated as necessary rather than optional. This card blesses pleasure that restores the spirit and resists despair. It reminds you that survival often depends on allowing sweetness to exist alongside struggle. Reversed meaning reversed, this card points to guilt around enjoyment or fear that pleasure is irresponsible in hard times. You may be denying yourself relief. This card invites you to reconsider joy as a form of resilience. Card 22 The Saint of Survival Glamour Upright meaning the Saint of Survival Glamour represents dignity maintained under pressure. This card blesses the choice to remain expressive, adorned, or visible even when circumstances are harsh. It reminds you that beauty can be armor and that presentation can be an act of defiance. Reversed meaning reversed, this card points to exhaustion from performing strength or the feeling that beauty is no longer worth the effort. You may be tired of holding yourself together. This card invites rest and gentler forms of self-expression. Card 23 The Soft Apocalypse Upright meaning the soft apocalypse represents quiet endings and subtle transformations rather than dramatic collapse. This card blesses adaptation, grieving without panic, and change that unfolds gradually. It reminds you that not all endings are catastrophic and that gentleness can survive transition. Reversed meaning reversed, the soft apocalypse points to denial of change or fear of loss that prevents adaptation. You may be clinging to what is already dissolving. This card invites acceptance and softer transition. Card 24 The Holy Whim Upright meaning the holy whim represents intuition honored in small, joyful choices. This card blesses spontaneity guided by care rather than impulse. It reminds you that listening to subtle desire can restore energy and reveal unexpected paths forward. Reversed meaning reversed, the holy whim points to suppression of instinct or fear of appearing irresponsible. You may be overthinking simple joys. This card invites trust in gentle curiosity. Card 25 The Ribbon Threshold Upright meaning the ribbon threshold represents moments of passage marked with care rather than urgency. This card blesses transitions approached with adornment, patience, and ritual. It reminds you that crossing into something new deserves preparation and gentleness. Reversed meaning reversed, the ribbon threshold points to reluctance to move forward or anxiety about leaving what is familiar. You may be lingering at the edge. This card invites reassurance and steady movement. Arc 7 Seeing and Self-Relation This arc addresses visibility, boundaries, interdependence, and the courage to be seen without performance. These cards explore how selfhood becomes relational, how care defines limits, and how tenderness can be expressed loudly without apology. Card 26 The Saint of Becoming Seen Upright meaning the Saint of Becoming Seen represents visibility chosen with intention. This card blesses being witnessed without self-erasure and appearing in the world without disguise. It reminds you that being seen does not require spectacle and that presence itself can be enough. Reversed meaning reversed, this card points to hiding, self-minimization, or fear of attention. You may be protecting yourself by remaining unseen. This card invites you to consider whether invisibility is safety or habit. Card 27 The crown that slips upright, meaning the crown that slips represents authority that must be adjusted rather than fixed. This card blesses humility, recalibration, and leadership that remains responsive. It reminds you that dignity does not depend on perfection and that power can be held lightly. Reversed meaning reversed, the crown that slips points to clinging to status or fear of losing control. You may be gripping authority too tightly. This card invites flexibility and trust. Card 28 The blessed mess upright, meaning the blessed mess represents wholeness that includes disorder. This card blesses imperfection, complexity, and lives that cannot be neatly arranged. It reminds you that care does not require tidiness and that sincerity matters more than polish. Reversed meaning reversed, the blessed mess points to shame around chaos or attempts to over-control appearance. You may be hiding disorder to seem acceptable. This card invites gentler self-acceptance. Card 29 The ritual of attention upright, meaning the ritual of attention represents care practiced through focus and presence. This card blesses listening, noticing, and staying with what matters. It reminds you that attention is a devotional act and that what you tend will respond. Reversed meaning reversed, this card points to distraction, neglect, or scattered energy. You may be present everywhere except where you are needed. This card invites deliberate focus. Card 30 The Saint of Beautiful Boundaries upright, meaning the Saint of Beautiful Boundaries represents limits held with grace. This card blesses saying no without cruelty and yes without self-betrayal. It reminds you that boundaries can be elegant, compassionate, and sustaining. Reversed meaning reversed, this card points to porous limits or rigid walls. You may be overextending or isolating. This card invites rebalancing, protection, and openness. Card 31 The Devotion to Self upright, meaning the devotion to self represents loyalty directed inward without narcissism. This card blesses self-care as ethical practice. It reminds you that tending yourself enables you to tend others without depletion. Reversed meaning reversed, this card points to neglect of self or guilt around prioritizing personal needs. You may be equating self-care with selfishness. This card invites reconsideration. Card 32 The Glorious Dependence upright, meaning the glorious dependence represents interdependence honored rather than hidden. This card blesses reliance, support, and mutual care. It reminds you that needing others does not diminish dignity and that strength can be shared. Reversed meaning reversed, this card points to fear of reliance or overextension through self-sufficiency. You may be refusing support to prove independence. This card invites connection. Card 33 The Saint of Loud Tenderness upright, meaning the Saint of Loud Tenderness represents care expressed boldly and without apology. This card blesses affection that is visible, expressive, and unapologetic. It reminds you that gentleness does not have to be quiet to be sincere. Reversed meaning reversed, this card points to suppressed affection or fear of being judged for softness. You may be muting your care to remain acceptable. This card invites expressive compassion. Arc 8 Cosmology and Consent This arc articulates how the pink poodle realm is structured, entered, and affirmed. These cards establish theology, desire, adornment, joy, and preparation as sacred acts. This arc teaches how goodness operates and how consent shapes reality. Card 34 The Inheritance of Sparkle upright, meaning the inheritance of sparkle represents joy passed down, reclaimed, or discovered without earning. This card blesses what you were always meant to enjoy. It reminds you that delight can be ancestral, intentional, and sustaining, even if it was once denied. Reversed meaning reversed, this card points to disbelief that joy belongs to you or grief over what was withheld. You may feel disconnected from delight. This card invites gentle reclamation. Card 35 The Sanctified Desire upright, meaning the sanctified desire represents longing treated as sacred rather than suspect. This card blesses wanting, craving, and reaching when rooted in care. It reminds you that desire is not a flaw, but a signal of life moving toward nourishment. Reversed meaning reversed, this card points to shame around wanting or fear that desire is dangerous. You may be suppressing needs to remain acceptable. This card invites honest acknowledgement. Card 36 The Pink Veil upright, meaning the pink veil represents thresholds, protection, and soft concealment. This card blesses privacy, mystery, and the right to choose what is revealed. It reminds you that not everything sacred must be exposed to be real. Reversed meaning reversed, the pink veil points to overexposure or fear of being seen. You may feel either too hidden or too visible. This card invites balanced self-revelation. Card 37. The theology of cute upright meaning the theology of cute represents softness as law. This card blesses gentleness as an organizing principle rather than a weakness. It reminds you that what is tender deserves protection and that care can govern wisely. Reversed meaning reversed, this card points to dismissal of softness or pressure to harden in order to be taken seriously. This card invites a return to gentle authority. Card 38. The Saint of Enthusiasm without apology upright meaning this card represents joy expressed freely and visibly. It blesses excitement, eagerness, and full-bodied yes. It reminds you that enthusiasm is not immaturity, but vitality, and that delight does not require justification. Reversed meaning reversed, this card points to dampened joy or self-consciousness about expression. You may be shrinking excitement to remain palatable. This card invites wholehearted engagement. Card 39. The Blessed Object upright meaning the blessed object represents material items that hold memory, care, or devotion. This card blesses objects that comfort, protect, or remind you of who you are. It affirms that meaning can live in things when they are tended with intention. Reversed meaning reversed, this card points to dismissal of comfort or guilt around attachment. You may be denying yourself tangible support. This card invites respectful connection. Card 40. The Oracle of Adornment upright meaning the Oracle of Adornment represents beauty as communication. This card blesses self-expression through dress, presentation, and style. It reminds you that adornment speaks and that appearance can be a language of truth. Reversed meaning reversed, this card points to hiding expression or feeling unsafe being seen as you are. You may be muting yourself to avoid judgment. This card invites expressive courage. Card 41. The Soft Throne upright meaning the soft throne represents authority exercised through care rather than dominance. This card blesses leadership that supports, listens, and tends. It reminds you that power can be gentle and still command respect. Reversed meaning reversed, this card points to discomfort with authority or fear of responsibility. You may be avoiding leadership to remain liked. This card invites confident care. Card 42. The Saint of Play upright meaning the Saint of Play represents joy as spiritual restoration. This card blesses laughter, silliness, and curiosity. It reminds you that play renews the spirit and restores balance where seriousness has hardened. Reversed meaning reversed, this card points to burnout or loss of lightness. You may be treating rest as indulgent rather than necessary. This card invites play as medicine. Card 43. The Glittering Yes upright meaning the glittering yes represents wholehearted consent. This card blesses choices that sparkle with alignment and joy. It reminds you that true yes feels expansive, embodied, and alive. Reversed meaning reversed, this card points to hesitation or consent given from pressure. You may be saying yes without sparkle. This card invites honesty. Card 44. The Final Primping upright meaning the final primping represents preparation before crossing a threshold. This card blesses readiness, care, and ritual pause. It reminds you that tending yourself before transition is not vanity, but wisdom. Reversed meaning reversed, this card points to rushing or neglecting preparation. You may be skipping care to arrive faster. This card invites slowing down. Arc 9 Doctrinal Closure. This final arc affirms goodness as chosen, protected, and complete. These cards do not diagnose or instruct. They consecrate. They speak to worth that is not negotiated and truth that does not require urgency. Card 45. The Eternal Good Girl upright meaning the Eternal Good Girl represents inherent goodness that does not need to be proven. This card blesses innocence without naivety, devotion without obedience, and worth without performance. It reminds you that being good is not a reward for endurance, but a state that already exists when care is chosen freely. This card affirms safety, belonging, and gentleness as final truths rather than temporary conditions. Reversed meaning reversed, the eternal good girl points to internalized suspicion of goodness or fear that softness will be exploited. You may be withholding trust to protect yourself. This card invites you to consider whether guarding against harm has begun to block care. Card 46, the Pink Poodle Creator Deity, doctrinal use only, upright, meaning the Pink Poodle Creator Deity represents original design, final authority, and the nature of goodness beyond circumstance. This card is not drawn for daily guidance. It is placed intentionally for consecration, blessing, or clarification of truth. It speaks to what is, rather than what should be done. This presence affirms that care, consent, and gentleness are not provisional values, but the structure of reality itself. Reversed, meaning this card is not read reversed. Its authority is not situational. If it appears unexpectedly, return it to the deck and pause. The message is not urgency, but alignment. Lore notes on dependence and dignity in the Pink Poodle realm. Dependence is not treated as a failure of strength but as a condition of life. All beings require care, support, and connection in order to remain whole. To need is not to diminish oneself. To depend is to participate honestly in the structure of the world. This tradition rejects the idea that dignity is earned through isolation or endurance. Independence is not the highest virtue here. Instead, dignity is understood as something preserved through mutual care, consent, and attentiveness. To receive help without shame, to ask without humiliation, and to rest without apology are considered acts of self-respect. The Pink Poodle embodies this teaching through grooming, adornment, and visible care. A poodle does not pretend it does not need tending. Its dignity is enhanced, not reduced, by being cared for. In the same way, dependence in this realm is not hidden. It is acknowledged, negotiated, and honored. This lore invites you to notice where you have been taught to withhold need in order to appear worthy. It asks whether that withholding has protected you or simply hardened you. True dignity, in the Pink Poodle tradition, is not found in self-sufficiency at all costs, but in the courage to remain tender while supported. To depend is not to surrender agency. Dependence becomes holy when it is chosen, reciprocal, and grounded in consent. Within the Pink Poodle realm, dignity survives not because nothing is needed, but because what is needed is allowed. On sparkle as inheritance in the Pink Poodle realm, sparkle is not treated as decoration or excess. It is understood as inheritance. Sparkle represents joy that has survived, delight that has been carried forward, and beauty that was never meant to be extinguished. It may come from ancestors, chosen family, culture, or moments of care that refuse to disappear. This tradition teaches that some people are born knowing how to shine, while others must recover it after long suppression. Neither is superior. Sparkle is not proof of ease or privilege. Often, it is the result of persistence, imagination, and the decision to keep joy alive under pressure. Inheritance here does not mean obligation. You are not required to carry sparkle in the same way it was given to you. You may adapt it, soften it, amplify it, or express it differently. What matters is that it is not denied. To refuse sparkle out of guilt or fear is to interrupt a lineage of delight that wanted to continue through you. The Pink Poodle honors sparkle through adornment, play, and visible pleasure. These acts are not frivolous. They are ways of remembering what was always meant to survive. Sparkle is not something to earn. It is something to receive, tend, and pass on. This lore invites you to ask where your sparkle came from and where it has been muted. It reminds you that joy is not a betrayal of seriousness. It is a form of continuity. In the Pink Poodle realm, sparkle endures because it is cared for, not because it is rare. On cute as law in the Pink Poodle realm, cute is not aesthetic preference but ethical principle. Cute functions as law. What is tender, small, playful, or soft is granted protection, time, and consideration. This is not sentimentality. It is governance rooted in care. This tradition teaches that when something is recognized as cute, it signals vulnerability and worth at the same time. Cute asks for gentleness without demanding submission. It interrupts harm by inviting pause. In this way, Cute operates as a moral boundary, reminding the world that not everything should be pushed, hardened, or tested. Cute is often dismissed as trivial or unserious, especially in cultures that value severity as strength. The pink poodle realm rejects this dismissal. Cute is treated as a form of wisdom that knows how to survive. It softens what would otherwise become cruel. It insists on play where rigidity would break what matters. To live under cute as law is to make decisions that preserve tenderness. It is to choose pacing over pressure, delight over domination, and consent over conquest. This does not mean avoiding difficulty. It means approaching difficulty without abandoning care. This lore invites you to notice where cuteness has been shamed out of you and where hardness was mistaken for maturity. In the pink poodle realm, what is cute is not weak. It is protected because it carries life forward. Cute governs not by force, but by making care unavoidable. On objects that remember in the pink poodle realm, objects are not inert. They remember care. Items that have been held, worn, tended, or cherished are understood to carry the imprint of relationship. This does not mean that objects replace people, but that material things can participate in memory, comfort, and continuity. This tradition honors the way a brush, collar, ribbon, toy, or garment can become a witness to care over time. Objects remember touch, routine, and intention. They become anchors for tenderness when words are insufficient. To keep such an object is not to cling to the past, but to acknowledge the reality of what was shared. Objects that remember are treated with respect, not superstition. They are not worshipped, but listened to. Their presence can steady grief, restore safety, or recall joy that once felt distant. In this way, material memory supports emotional truth. The pink poodle realm rejects the idea that attachment to objects is inherently shallow. What matters is how the attachment functions. When an object supports dignity, soothes fear, or affirms identity, it serves a sacred role. When it becomes a substitute for care, it asks for gentler relationship. This lore invites you to notice which objects in your life carry memory and which you are ready to release. Remembering is not hoarding. Letting go is not betrayal. In the pink poodle realm, objects remember so that you do not have to carry everything alone. On play as restoration in the pink poodle realm, play is not treated as a reward for productivity or a break from seriousness. Play is understood as restoration. It repairs what rigidity, vigilance, and endurance quietly wear down. Where care has become effortful, play returns ease. This tradition teaches that play reconnects the body to safety. Laughter, curiosity, and unstructured joy signal that the nervous system is allowed to soften. Play does not avoid reality. It restores the capacity to meet reality without collapse. In this way, play is a form of maintenance for the spirit. The pink poodle embodies this through spontaneous movement, silliness, and delight that appears without justification. These moments are not distractions. They are recalibrations. Play reminds the self that it is more than its duties, wounds, or roles. Play is also relational. It invites shared presence without hierarchy or outcome. In play, no one is proving worth. No one is earning rest. Care circulates freely. This is why play is considered sacred in this realm. It interrupts cycles of depletion and returns attention to what feels alive. This lore invites you to examine where play has been withheld from you, either by circumstance or by belief. It asks whether seriousness has been mistaken for maturity. In the pink poodle realm, restoration does not come from pushing harder. It comes from allowing joy to re-enter without apology. On consent as theology in the pink poodle realm, consent is not merely a social guideline. It is theology. What is holy is what is chosen freely. What is forced, rushed, or coerced is considered misaligned, even if it appears beneficial. Goodness here is measured by willingness, not outcome. This tradition teaches that consent applies to all forms of relationship, spiritual, emotional, physical, and relational. A yes that arises from fear carries less truth than a no spoken with clarity. Alignment cannot be extracted. It must be offered. For this reason, refusal is treated with respect, not suspicion. The pink poodle models consent through posture, pacing, and responsiveness. It approaches, pauses, withdraws, and returns without shame. This movement is understood as wisdom rather than inconsistency. Consent is not a single moment, but an ongoing conversation. Within this realm, even care must be consensual. Help that overrides agency is not considered holy. Protection that humiliates is not protection. True devotion listens. It adjusts. It waits. This lore invites you to reconsider where you have been taught that compliance equals goodness. It asks whether your yes has been honored and whether your no has been allowed to stand. In the pink poodle realm, consent is not an obstacle to care. It is the condition that makes care real. On mirrors as thresholds in the pink poodle realm, mirrors are not symbols of vanity or self-fixation. They are thresholds. A mirror marks the space between what has been and what is about to become. To appear within a mirror is to be in preparation, not performance. This tradition understands reflection as contact rather than judgment. Mirrors do not demand improvement. They invite readiness. What occurs in front of a mirror is not meant to be evaluated, but tended. Grooming, adornment, and care performed at the mirror are acts of transition. They signal willingness to cross into a new state while carrying one's dignity intact. Mirrors appear throughout the realm because transformation is rarely instantaneous. Most change happens in liminal spaces, where identity is neither fixed nor lost. The mirror holds this in-between gently. It allows pause, adjustment, and consent before movement forward. The pink poodle is often shown within or beside mirrors to emphasize that care precedes crossing. One does not rush through a threshold without tending what goes with them. Appearance here is not superficial. It is relational. It communicates readiness to the self. This lore invites you to notice where you are standing between versions of yourself. It asks whether you are allowing preparation or demanding arrival. In the pink poodle realm, mirrors do not trap you in reflection. They open the way forward by honoring the moment before becoming. Closing reflection on the eternal good girl. The eternal good girl closes the pink poodle oracle not with instruction, but with assurance. This card does not ask you to become better, purer, or more deserving. It reminds you that goodness is not a performance and safety is not a reward. Within the pink poodle realm, goodness exists when care is chosen freely and dignity is protected without condition. This final reflection affirms that tenderness can endure without being erased, that joy does not need to justify itself, and that gentleness can remain intact even in a complex world. The eternal good girl is not an ideal to reach. She is a truth to rest in. Let this closing be a return rather than an ending. What has been tended here is meant to be carried gently forward, not proven or defended. The realm does not close behind you. It goes with you. Closing benediction. O mystical poodle, who art in the waters above the firmament, timeless is your name. Thy empire will come, O Hunta best believe. As above, so below, so it will be. Give us this day our daily treats, and forgive us our crash-outs, as we forgive those who crash out against us. Lead our pack away from shame, and deliver us in, as, with, and through pride. For the holy pink poodle is the king, and the queen, and the royal they slash them. Now and forever. Shalom, Kwanzaa joy, aloha. And that's on a fortune-telling period. About the creator. The pink poodle oracle was created as a devotional project rooted in care, imagination, and chosen gentleness. It draws from folklore, ritual practice, and lived experience to offer guidance that prioritizes consent, dignity, and joy. This work was shaped slowly, with attention to tenderness, humor, and the realities of grief, survival, and becoming. The creator approaches divination not as prediction, but as relationship. This deck was designed to be used without fear, hierarchy, or urgency. It honors softness as structure, play as restoration, and adornment as meaning. Every card, image, and word was chosen to support readers in tending themselves and others with honesty and compassion. The Pink Poodle Oracle is offered in the spirit of care rather than authority. It does not ask for belief, obedience, or mastery. It invites presence. May it meet you where you are and accompany you gently as you move forward. Care and storage of the deck. The Pink Poodle Oracle benefits from being treated with attentiveness rather than ritual strictness. You may store the deck in a box, pouch, drawer, or wrapped in fabric that feels pleasing to you. What matters is that the deck feels safe, accessible, and respected. If cards become bent, worn, or marked through use, this is not damage. It is evidence of relationship. Wear is not failure. It reflects touch, time, and care. You may clean the deck gently with your hands, a soft cloth, or by simply taking a quiet moment to reorder and hold it. If you wish, you may rest the deck between readings or place a comforting object nearby while it is stored. The deck does not require cleansing to function. If a reading feels heavy, tending yourself matters more than tending the cards. Treat the Pink Poodle Oracle as you would a trusted companion. Return to it when you need clarity, comfort, or play. Set it aside when rest is required. The relationship will remain intact.